Hello guys! Russian war in Ukraine began with the annexation of Crimea. And I think it will end with the liberation of Crimea. And those of you who follow attentively special military operation of the Ukrainian armed forces on the peninsula clearly see the signs. Crimea is getting back home. And tonight, Ukrainian drones visited a big, strategically important oil marine terminal in Feodosia in Crimea and destroyed it. I remember visiting Crimea in 2001. I was still a school student and I went there to participate in the English Learners competition. And I remember how fascinated I was with its nature, rich history and cultural diversity. It is the land of the indigenous people of Ukraine, Crimean Tatars. But unfortunately, right now it is the symbol of Russian violence, Russian occupation, and the moment we destroy the Kerch Bridge and return Crimea to Ukraine will mark the moment of justice. And I'm sure it is coming soon. If you want to discuss that on the channel and you're new, please subscribe. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and Crimea is also Ukraine. So let's discuss what happened tonight in Feodosia. Feodosia is a beautiful city on the shores of the Black Sea. It has a very rich historical heritage and once was known as Kaffa. Those of you who love the history of the Ottoman Empire or might have heard about the famous Ukrainian woman Roxolana, who later married the strongest Ottoman Sultan known as Suleiman the Magnificent, and actually their love story is the basis of lots of novels and TV series. She was bought in Kaffa because Kaffa belonged to Tatars that had close connections with Ottomans, but no, it was not Russian. One of the greatest fakes that Russians managed to bring very close to the minds of people all over the world is that Crimea has always been a part of the Russian Empire, it has some rich Russian heritage. Well, no. It was a part of Ukraine. It was a land of Crimean Tatars. And if you ask Crimean Tatars, do they want to return back to Ukraine, they will definitely say yes. We have very close and respectful connections. We learn from each other. We enrich each other. And this is what actually makes Ukraine a very European nation, because we believe that diversity is our strength. Unfortunately, lots of Crimean Tatars leaders who stayed in Crimea were arrested and now are in various Russian prisons. That's how they try to erase any culture, not just Ukrainian, that is present on the territory of my country. Feodosia is this kind of city that has these layers of history and culture, and none of which is that closely connected with the Kremlin. They simply try to destroy people, destroy cities, and bring Russia there as the part of this destruction. But we will definitely protect and return our lands. Feodosia is an important center that is now actively used by the Russian army. And luckily, it is not the first time that Ukrainian drones visited. But let's speak about this most recent visit that happened tonight, when in the result of the special drone operation, a very important marine oil terminal was destroyed. You know that right now, unfortunately, designed for beauty, tourism, Peninsula is used as a rotten military base, and for the supply of the Russian army, they needed this terminal. But luckily, Ukrainian drones achieved the target and destroyed it. And just a war ago, I was 100% pacifist person and hated films about war, books about war. And now I love watching smoke from the military objects of the Russian Federation, even if they are located on the temporarily occupied territories, because this is one more proof that we are winning, we are defeating this evil empire, and we are demilitarizing it, which is an investment to the future security of Europe and the world. Subscribe to see the defeat of Russia and the collapse of Kremlin. I can hear it coming. And if you like history, modern history, then you remember that in 2023 we have destroyed a very big Russian warship, actually an assault warship Novocherkassk, also in Feodosia. And in general, we may say that after the development of the Ukrainian drone warfare, we made Russian Black Sea Navy flee from the Crimea, from the peninsula. It was the greatest mistake of Ukraine to allow them to stay there after the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was definitely a strategy of the Russian Federation to remain there. And those of you who follow the news from my part of the world definitely know that the start of Russian war was in Crimea. And first, these were green men. Putin was afraid to let the world know about his plans. He was still testing the reaction of the democratic world, but after we were advised not to fight back, not to escalate, which is crazy because a victim can never escalate, it's just the aggressor that escalates. And this weak reaction, that annexation of Crimea led to the invasion of Luhansk and Donetsk regions, and in 8 years, now 10 years, it led to the continuation of the full-scale war. Because it is a universal truth, unpunished evil grows. And yes, I blame those global leaders who actually cheered Ukraine not to react, not to escalate, because Putin and dictators like him, this weak reaction, understand as the green light to continue. And if we start appeasing them, if we start negotiating, they realize, okay, I can get whatever I want. I can break all laws, I can undermine all agreements, and I will get what I want. And that is why it is super important to defeat Russia, to demilitarize Russia, to imprison Putin, and only then start negotiating. That is the only option that we accept in Ukraine. And I hope that you support us, because once again, that is the investment in the future peace and security of this world, because other authoritarian regimes are observing. And believe me, there are other Crimean peninsulas that can be annexed by bigger countries who possess nuclear weapons, but we don't want that. Because this is a violent, crazy medieval world, and we are in the 21st century. I know we are, but not all people. That's why I'm asking you to please share the videos on your social media platforms and helping persuade those who still remain neutral. It's impossible when watching Russian war crimes and the bravery of the Ukrainian people. Join me on Instagram, X, Threads, and Discord. Remember to check our new collection in the merch shop, which has lots of items and products dedicated to Halloween, but also to lots of cultural heritage objects and even Ukrainian weapons. And they work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. But most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!